Where do you go when you have 3 teachers, 5 Harrisburg Academy students, 2 cars packed beyond capacity, and over 2,000 miles ahead of you? Well, you take a trip west to the Grand Tetons in Yellowstone National Park. Come along and enjoy the trip.
West Coast kid, holiday
The Rocky Mountains in Wyoming are comprised of the Grand Tetons and what is referred to as the Cathedral Range, with mountain ranges including Wind River Range and Bighorn Mountains. West Coast kid, holiday The ecosystem in Yellowstone National Park is unique because of the influence of volcanic, hydrothermal, and glacial processes. The geothermal heat produces hot springs, steam vents called fumaroles, and mud pots. One of the junior scientist experiments at the park allowed us to identify the thermophilic, heat-loving bacteria in the hot springs by the temperature and the color of the water. The most famous geothermal feature are the geysers. Fire is a part of the Yellowstone ecosystem. The largest fire in the park's written history occurred in 1988, when more than 50 fires burned 800,000 acres. It is possible to observe the biological succession that has taken place after forest fires in the park. Tall burned lodgepole pines and scattered trunks of burned trees are surrounded by new, younger growth. Devil's Tower is located in the northwest corner of the Black Hills on the Wyoming side of the border. Here are just a few facts about Devil's Tower. From its base, Devil's Tower is more than 4 football fields tall. The tower is made up of mostly hexagonal columns, but some have as few as 4 or as many as 7 sides. Devil's Tower was the first national monument in the United States, declared as such in 1906 by President Teddy Roosevelt. The small colored bundles of cloth that are often seen around the base of Devil's Tower are sacred offerings left by American Indian tribes. The tower is a cultural and religious focal point of several different tribes. Because of its cultural significance to the American Indians, a voluntary rock climbing closure is in effect every June. No guide is required to climb the tower, but all rock climbers must register at the ranger station both before and immediately after attempting to climb the tower. More than 100 rock climbing routes have been established on Devil's Tower. The top of the tower was first reached by 2 local cowboys who constructed a wooden ladder system and attached it to the side of the tower. Remnants of the wooden ladder can still be seen on the side of the formation. The Badlands geological formations come from millions of years of sand, silt, and clay that were deposited and formed into sedimentary rock. The impressive peaks and canyons are surrounded by prairies. Animals in the Badlands must be content with temperatures that range from 100 to 20 degrees Fahrenheit, so there are very few reptiles and amphibians. Animals take shelter in burrows, or they use canyons as shelter. The prairie of the Badlands is home to prairie dogs and the most recently introduced black-footed ferret.
Trustees for making this trip possible. This experience has enriched us professionally as well as personally.